Hey, good evening, guys. What's happening? What is happening? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Frank, good evening. Rona saying, Marcus, Legacy, Dark Ginger, Exo, Monkey Llama. Hello, guys. Nice to see all the green names in chat, as always. What's happening tonight? Last time I was on stream, I was putting some of these guys onto some base extenders. I'm going to finish. Well, I kind of already put them onto the base extender. I'm just going to quickly give the top of these base extenders a coat of paint. So that's where I'm starting. I might make some models tonight as well. I feel like I need a change from what I've been working on. Sometimes when you feel like you need to do something different, the best thing to do is do something different. So we'll see where the stream goes. Good evening, Nick. How you guys doing? Hope you're all well. If you are doing some hobbying tonight, please give me a shout out on what you're working on. If you have any Blood Angels questions, you obviously can just fire them into the chat. Or any fucking questions, I guess. In general is fine as well. And yeah, we'll be live for a couple hours tonight, I think. Maybe slightly more than a couple hours. We'll see. We'll see. I'm pretty tired this week. It's Friday tomorrow, though. Thank goodness it's Friday, right? I'm sure everybody works Monday to Fridays, looking forward to Friday tomorrow. I am. I got nothing planned really for the weekend, but I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. Did the Gladiator arrive? Yeah, I've got the Gladiator here, Ginger. Do you want to see it? Mike did a great job on painting it, actually. I'm really pleased with it. It really closely matches my style of painting, I guess. So, honestly, I think probably what I'm going to do with the Gladiator is just slap some transfers on it and be done with it. I don't know, maybe I was going to have a look at it. Like, maybe there's a couple of things I would touch up. I'm not sure, but overall, I mean, I'm really pleased with the Gladiator. It matches the style of stuff that I've done before. Mike sent me these awesome stickers. Let me show you. I already stuck one of them on my Warhammer box. Where the fuck did I put the other one? Here it is. So this is Mike's. You should really put his website on here, but I stuck one of these on my Warhammer box. Good evening, Jordan. I haven't figured out where I'm sticking this other one, but it's a cool little brand, so Paint It Red Studios. Sure, I just put some paint on the palette, so let me just do the bases of these guys and just take a couple of minutes, and then we'll get the Gladiator out for a look. Because last time I just was putting these old Tactical Marines on some base extenders. And when I put them on the base extenders, I actually just like glue them into them. And I mean, I'm never going back to 25mm bases, right? I guess they're 3D printed extenders, but I think once you slap some texture paint on them, you will probably never know that they're on base extenders. And yeah, I mean, I don't know why you'd ever want to run them as 25mm ever again, so yeah, I just glue them in, paint over with a thick layer of texture paint, and then that's me done usually. But I actually, yeah, I was having a problem with I'd actually done a commission earlier in this year for a few more Blood Angels things, and I was having a problem with the commission artist, so Mike actually like picked up the slack on that commission, and he's doing the rest of the commission for me now as well, so I'm very happy with the speed he turned it around. I don't know, I mean, I guess if you're going to use them, you probably just have to agree with them a timescale, but yeah, Mike seems a stand-up guy, he seems trustworthy, and he delivered the Gladiator to me. I think it took him like 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, it's way quicker than I would have painted the Gladiator, but you guys know that, I mean, with the kids, I don't get that much time to paint, right? Where do you play most of your 40k games? It's actually the office where I do my day job. We have that spare room. We didn't always have a spare room in the office, and I guess at some point it might become non-spare again. So like what I would like to do is like essentially eventually like convert my garage into a room where I could play 40k. But I mean, that's going to cost a lot of money, and I'd have to put in a wall and put in new windows and stuff like that. So I think that's like a 10-year goal maybe. And also I don't know if I'll always have that day job, right? So like if I ever lost my day job, I don't know if I'd have somewhere to play anymore on stream. So yeah, my goal over the next decade probably would be to like convert my garage into like a proper 40k studio. And at the moment, like all my stuff is like rammed in boxes. It's all packed away. There's no space. Even though I moved into a bigger house, I've still got no space for all the stuff I've got. You can see all the shelves behind me, so I'd like to convert the garage, but I don't know how realistic that is at the moment, I guess. But yeah, we have a spare room with a camera mounted to the ceiling where we play, and most of the people that I play against, I wouldn't say most of the people. Some of the people I play against, I work with. Like I work with Andrew. I work with Brett, I work with Colin, but no, I don't work with Colin. I work with Andrew, Brett, and Kev. And then like anyone else that comes along, well, I got keys to the office space that we play in. I can get access in the evenings, right? Hi Foz, good evening, how you doing? Is there any way to beat Tyranids? Says Legacy. Yes, I mean there is. I beat them at RTT just a little while ago, and I beat them at the Leviathan list before it just got nerfed this last week. What are you struggling with against Tyranids? Like, assume if you're asking, is there any way to beat them? You played them and you're struggling. How are you playing? Like, I actually did a video on that tournament and how I beat the Tyranids in that tournament. It was on the channel called Blood Angels Commander Masterclass. That was basically how I broke down like 2 tournaments I went to, and in part 1, because there was 2 parts, Blood Angels Commander Masterclass part 1 and part 2. Part 1 I talk about the game that I beat Tyranids, and like that was that disgusting Leviathan list that does tons of mortal wounds and well, at the time I played it, it was about 200 points cheaper than it is now because they nerfed it shortly after that. So yeah, I think Tyranids are beatable. They're strong, but they're beatable. I guess you just maybe have to use the right units at the right time. I mean, like, the Night list I fought last night I found harder than the Tyranids. And that was when the whole Tyranid army had transhuman, right? Good evening, DTM. Marcus says man cave. Yeah, it will be a man cave. Good evening, Kevin. Luke is painting Death Company Chainsword for the Coventry GT next week. Okay, Luke, go. You don't have long. Ed says if you find a way, let me know. I mean, yeah, what are you guys... What's tripping you up against Tyranids? Like, Malceptor, or Zonothropes, or Winged Hive Tyrants, Harpies? Like, what is it that's tripping you guys up? Like, there must be something... Or you just think everything does too much damage. I mean, Tyranids do a lot of damage. Are you going to run a crusade after the 3 Grots chat? I mean, it's definitely a consideration. I think what I want to do, JT Money, is I want to do Boarding Party next. I know that they haven't announced like a release date or anything really too seriously yet, but like I think what I want to do is Boarding Party. Honestly, the current meta in 40k is a little bit frustrating to be as a Space Marine player. Like the game I played last night against Knights, I don't know how you... I mean, it's almost unbeatable. It's almost an unwinnable game. The Knights are far too resilient for the tools that we have available, and also they score far too many points on primaries, and I can't contest. So, like, I mean, part of me is frustrated because of where Blood Angels are right now. So, obviously I'm going to a few more tournaments with Blood Angels, so I mean, I'm still going to keep fighting, and I'll still try my best to win those tournaments. But I think the thing that I'm most excited about for the moment is Boarding Party. So that's what I want to play next, and I guess we'll see if the next chapter approved is better, because this time's balanced data slate, in my opinion, was quite poor. I really don't think it addresses a lot of things, I guess. Yeah, I mean, some people, I don't know, I don't watch a million different YouTubers. I watch like 5, and none of them seemed overly positive about the balanced data slate. Have I played against salamanders? A friend of mine is playing them next, but I don't see them that much on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any friends that play salamanders actually. I think I have friends on just about every marine chapter, but salamanders is definitely a no-go. All I know about salamanders really is like they have a lot of flame weapons, right? They only really became a main chapter, would I say? Like, did they ever have a codex before the 8th edition? Foz says you enjoyed the masterclass. Thank you, Foz, for watching those videos. And if you are enjoying tonight's video at any point, hit that like button. I do appreciate it. Vets v Vets win rate actually put Blood Angels at 54% win rates against Nids. Very low sample size. Yeah, so Nids I think are totally beatable as Blood Angels. I honestly have had less problems with transhuman Nids than I've had with transhuman Knights with 4-up invuln saves like last night. Good evening, Jimmy. I've adopted Soul Warden or the Banner Ancient now. It seems to have helped. Yeah, I mean the Banner Soul Warden in general helps a lot against Tyranids. Having a Psyker can also help a lot against Tyranids, because they're probably going to have Zone of Ropes and stuff like that, and being able to deny a low casted power or deny Psychic Interrogation on a low cast and stuff like that can help too. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how common a Psyker is in Blood Angels lists right now. I feel like at the start of the edition it was pretty common when you had like everybody running the Null Zone Psyker. But I think it dropped out of favour for a while, and maybe I'm one of the few Blood Angels players that's been hanging on to it, but I mean, I like my Psykers. Jimmy's painting Deathwatch, Space Wolf, Terminator Captain, Thunderhammer, Lightning Claws. Nice, Jimmy. Let me just move my chat around so I can see this a bit better. Evening, Christian. Good evening. Pre-nerf Tyranids were just fine. I mean, pre-nerf Tyranids were probably a little bit too tough, right? Like they were on like a 65% win rate. You got to remember back when pre-nerf was there, Reziel, we didn't have the changes to indirect fire, so Tyranids had like 9 Hive Guard, maybe even more in every game, and those Hive Guard were they're untargetable. They would rain death, and they could fire twice for like 2 CP. It was obnoxious. So maybe pre-nerf Tyranids suffered a little bit from something like that as well, but yeah, even now Tyranids still are like literally the top win rate, so I mean Blood Angels they have counters to them. Danny says I don't enjoy any Blood Angels. Well, I mean that's up to you, Danny. Tony mentioned you might be interested in getting into Blood Bowl. I have 2 Blood Bowl teams, but they're tragically painted. Absolutely tragically painted. They're painted by like 12-year-old me. Kevin says Space Marines are overcosted and they don't trade well. That's pretty much where we are with Space Marines. Hold on, let me get this Gladiator. Alright, here it is. I mean, this just matches my style. It's nothing too fancy. It's pretty clean. Unfortunately, my camera is sort of zoomed in for painting Marines, but I kind of told Mike not to go all the way with this because I was probably going to finish it off and make it match what I've done previously. So, yeah, I mean, I think if you put it side by side with my models, this is about the quality of my paint jobs. So maybe some of this is actually maybe even a little bit tidier than some of mine. I haven't decided what I'm going to do to finish it, but I'm probably going to finish it. I might edge highlight some of this black. Probably, I was kind of thinking maybe these vents here at the back might be black, but now that he's done them red, I'm actually kind of okay with it. So I think maybe just edge highlight some of the black up here and then put some transfers on it. Might edge highlight some of these guns, we'll see. Thoughts? Do you like it? Anything that you would change? I don't typically go much further than my paint jobs. I always call mine Battle Ready Plus. And then it's an impulsor with metal guns. Wouldn't that be cool? Mostly big monsters like winged tyrants. They move faster, harder to kill, deal a lot of damage while getting shot by exocrines, carnifexes, and tyrannofexes. Yeah, I mean exocrines are absolutely disgusting. They kill eradicators every 3 damage on strength 9 or something, aren't they? I mean, if they've got exocrines, you either need to hide, line of sight, or get in and charge them. A turn 1 death company into something can help a lot. The Hive Tyrant just got nerfed this week, right? Like, was it this week, last week, whenever the Balance Slate came out? The Hive Tyrant's Reaper of Obliterax nonsense got nerfed a little bit, so I mean, that potentially helps now. Whirlwind can also help against a Hive Tyrant if it just wants to fly in and fight and then fly away. Make it fight last. It can kind of hurt their ideas there. Impulsor with metal guns, play Black Templars. Can Impulsors have metal guns for Black Templars, can they? Probably. I mean, it's been a little while since I looked at the Black Templars book. I think the thing about Tyranids is, like, we can trade pretty well with some of their stuff, I think. Like, a squad of Death Company, a squad of Sanguinary Guard, they can usually trade fairly well. I really definitely watched that masterclass video, because that masterclass video shows my deployment and basically all my moves against it was a pre-nerf Tyranid list, so like right after the nerf came out, that list went down. That list was like 2,300 points, so I was playing 2,000 points of Blood Angels. Actually, my list went down because Sanguinary Guard got cheaper. So I was playing like 1,950 points of Blood Angels against 2,300 points of Tyranids. And I did beat them, and I did beat them by like 20 points. It wasn't like a fluke or something, right? So it was maybe the one thing that really went for me is I Forlorn Fury my Death Company into his Malceptor and killed it in a oneer, and that helped loads actually, because the Malceptor is pretty nasty. The combo with the Hive Tyrant is still very good. Yeah, I mean, I know it's still very good. There's, I still think it's probably too powerful for my liking, but at least it's something, right? Like, it did get made a little bit weaker. I'm I was going to say something about fine Tyranids. Yeah, I mean, Hive Tyrants are generally very difficult to deal with anyway, right? Like, even before you put in the fact that they're super mobile and they can get around and they can move after they kill stuff with the wings. So, I mean, unless you're confident you can get in on the Hive Tyrant, I would focus on the other threats, like the Zonathropes. Chris, thank you so much for subscribing. The Zonathropes, the Malceptor, the Exocrines, all those things are actually quite killable. And also with the change that they just got to Leviathan this week, I guess like Tyranid Warriors used to only be wounded on 4s. Now I think Sanguinary Guard will wound them on 2s or 3s, right? Axes on 2s, swords on 3s, is that right? Because I think they're toughness 5, right? So I think that's kind of a huge change. Like, Tyranid Warriors are way weaker into Sangard now. So if you run like Sangard typically and you were having problems with like blocks of Tyranid Warriors before, then hopefully now you could just chew through them. Yeah, Angel Sacrifice from well-positioned characters can help against Tyranids as well. I mean, Angel Sacrifice is one of the clutch stratagems that we need to use as a Blood Angel player, right? Like, we can go on all day about like what we've got in the Codex that is good or what we think is strong, but like Angel Sacrifice is probably the strongest thing we have, especially into big monsters, because you can just force all their attacks into one of our characters. So if you've got a character that could survive for a couple of turns, then paying a couple of CP to keep like a 200 point squad of Sangre Guard completely immune to that character's attacks or that enemy monster's attacks, I mean, it's literally one of the best things we can do. It probably wins Blood Angels players a lot of games, and also probably saves a lot of units. If you don't run a Whirlwind, you have to play around Angel Sacrifice, and you have to play really smartly around it, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, if you're playing big beasties, then that means Angel Sacrifice super easy as well, right? You just need to get your character in on engagement range with them, and then just Angel Sacrifice when they want to fight. And if you've got something that can help you survive through that first round of combat, and then you can literally do it again next turn. I flicked out through my Codex and found that you can have Infernal Pistols and Deathwatch. Well, I didn't know that actually. I don't actually own the Deathwatch Codex. I bought some Deathwatch upgrade sprues to like make some like Deathwatch Sangre Guard and Deathwatch Death Company models, just for a bit of uniqueness. And I think if you've never bought a Deathwatch... Oh, and you also get Terminator shoulder pads in the Deathwatch upgrade sprue. So I guess if you've never bought a Deathwatch upgrade sprue, I think you get like a couple of Terminator shoulder pads, you get a couple of... probably get like 5 Firstborn shoulder pads, you get some helmets, you get a power sword. So I figured that I was going to use the Deathwatch upgrade sprue for just making a few Sangard and a few Death Company, essentially, sort of part of the Deathwatch. It looks pretty cool in the ones that I've done. I'm pretty happy with that, actually. The nerf to Leviathan transhuman affects all units that are synapse and not monsters. Yes. So Warriors, Zonothroats, Neurothroats, Tyrannid Prime, Broodlords. Yeah, I mean, I knew it wasn't just... it's basically you only get the 4-up transhuman now if you're a synapse monster, right? Rather than just synapse. So, yeah, I mean, this is what I was trying to say last night on stream about fighting knights that had... if you have ways, like, basically there's... The way I see it is there's 2 giant counters to Blood Angels, and one of them is -1 damage, because it really, really, really hurts Sangre Guard, and we've got no way of boosting Sangre Guard beyond 2 damage. So, -1 damage hurts the Sangre Guard something terrible. They just lose 50% of their damage, don't they? And then the other thing that really hurts us is if the enemy has something that counters the Red Thirst. So, like, Transhuman. Transhuman obviously counters the Red Thirst, or... this little blood drop just broke off, or fuck it. Yeah, so like those are the 2 things that hurt Blood Angels the most, I think. And I think it's a little bit unfair because like other chapter tactics don't have something like that that will shut down, or other chapters don't have something that will shut down their chapter tactic. You know, like White Scars can advance and charge. It's not like there's a stratagem out there that says this model can't advance and charge if the enemy play this, right? And I guess that's in some ways probably why Blood Angels just struggle in some matchups, because if the matchup basically prevents us using our Red Thirst, then suddenly we become a lot more weaker because all of our wound rolls just actually start to really hurt. And Sangre Guard, the only reason they're good at like against armor, like toughness 7 and above, is because of the Red Thirst. So if you come up to an enemy armor list and you're not going to be able to use that +1 from the Red Thirst, then generally they kind of suck. And yeah, that was what Leviathan did before, right? It just sucked away a Red Thirst, and it made the matchup super hard. Are we still going to see a lot of Leviathan Tyranid players? I think they'll switch to a different Hive Fleet, right? Like, because there is some other genuinely pretty scary Hive Fleets. Just Leviathan was probably just a little bit too strong. I mean, a bit like when the Black Templars, everybody used to play the Oath, where they got the 5-up invulnerable save and the mini transhuman, right? Like, every Black Templar player played that. So, it was probably just a little bit too strong and needed brought down. So Shadow Keepers would be difficult for Blood Angels? Yeah, they would be. It just is... I mean, I just think we have a lot of reliance on our chapter tactic. Maybe the way around it would be to play a successor chapter where you're... Because you could play a successor chapter, you could still take like +1 to... You could still take like +1 to advance and charge, and instead of taking like +1 to wound, take like 6's burst. I think it's called Whirlwind of Rage. So in some ways, rather than relying on the +1 to wound, just every 6 to hit is a burst, is an additional hit. And I mean, there you could play Blood Angels, and I guess that would possibly be better if you came into those transhuman matchups. But then I guess the question is it better when you come into the non-transhuman matchups? Probably not, because when you end up like, you know, a strength 4 weapon wounding like Eldari on 2s just because you're +1 to wound, your wound rolls feel really reliable, right? Are you magnetizing these models? These Death Company, no, because I have like 40 fucking Death Company painted at this point. And the Sanguinary Guard that I did recently, which I did on stream maybe like I was doing them right before I got onto these Death Company. They were magnetized, but the thing is, I had a lot of Death Company from before that were all like bolters and chainswords, so there's almost no point in me magnetizing my hammer guys, because I already got a bunch of I've got more bolter and chainsword Death Company than I'm probably ever going to field. So I didn't really see any point in magnetizing these hammers, or these like power sword and infernal pistol models, because I've got loads of them. Yeah, no problem. Bots always seem to show up now, I guess, after... I don't know, bots just always show up now, I guess.
Emperor's Son donated $10 via Super Chat. Missed the boys. How is everyone? Any updates on life? Games I missed. I play Successor Iron Hands and have had a lot of luck with them. WWOR and Born Heros.
Born? Oh. WWR, Whirlwind of Rage. Successor Iron Hands with Whirlwind of Rage, really? I thought you were playing White Scars for a bit, Emperor's Son, but good evening, how are you? Thank you so much for the $10. I wanted to get you on our new series at some point, actually, because it was kind of you that got that series started, about the first video I did with Steel Rain a few weeks back called Meet the Member. It was kind of your idea to get members on an interview, so we need to do that, man. I did message you like a month ago. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna keep in. I actually spoke to like Highland, so people that are up for like the Meet the Member series. I spoke to Highland Phoenix. He's not sure. I think he said he would be nervous on camera. I was gonna do you and Steel Rain first, Emperor's Son, because you were the guys that sort of persuaded me to make a start at that series, and then I'm gonna start getting other people. I thought Highland Phoenix because he's always he was like one of my OG subscribers, but doesn't really matter what order we do it in, I guess. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the balance status late last month was frustrating for Blood Angels. What's Born Heroes do? When I win Coventry GT, you'll come play me, says Luke. Well, good luck, Luke. If you win a GT right now with Blood Angels, then you're a better player than I am, because I've been trying to win one for like a year and a half, and I keep getting hung up, I keep getting stuck. But I was, you know, exploding sixes and +1 to hit. Okay, yeah, so you hit on, so what, every model just hits on 2s and 6s are exploding. But you play that as Iron Hands? Why Iron Hands then? Like, what's the advantage of being Iron Hands? Sorry. See, I always feel like the +1 to advance and charge gives me value, so I'm always really reluctant to drop that. But I mean, maybe I should just run like Wrath of Baal, and then not have the +1 to charge. Just, I always seem to roll really shitty for my charge rolls, and that +1 always seems to bail me out. But I do like Born Heroes. I've played against Born Heroes before, and if you think about Born Heroes, and this is a really interesting thing, if you did go Born Heroes and you did go Unleash Rage with Mephiston, then every 6 is 2 extra hits, right? Because there's nothing that says you can only oh wow, 5+ for Feel No Pain on infantry for 1 CP. Oh yeah, I mean, I guess Iron Hands do have that, because they normally have that 6-up Feel No Pain, don't they? So you're kind of abusing the mechanic a little bit there. I mean, that's a clever idea. Mind you, every time I pay 1 CP for the 5-up Feel No Pain on the Death Company for Refusal to Die, my fucking Death Company squad die anyway, and then I always feel like a chump for having spent that CP. Like, it never seems to help me, Refusal to Die. I think Refusal to Die should be changing the Death Company's Feel No Pain to 4-up. Because on a 5-up it never fucking helps. Every time the squad gets targeted, they die anyway, right? Space Wolves love Born Heroes and Whirlwind Rage. Yeah, they certainly do. That was the list that I think that was the list that beat me at the final table of GT. How many times have you used Refusal to Die on a 5-man? Like 50, and maybe once it saved 1 model. I don't know why. Do I just roll really shitty every time I use Refusal to Die, or is there just too much damage coming in and I should just accept the Death Company are dead? I think it's kind of like when I used to always play Transhuman on the Blade Guard. The amount of time I would play like the Blade Guard are getting targeted, alright, we're going to transhuman them, and then guess what happens? They wipe the Blade Guard anyway. I mean, it's funny because when people play Transhuman against me, it just shuts my damage down and I die. Refusal to Die is only worth it against 2 damage weapons. That's probably a good point, actually, because you know, if you play it on 3 damage weapons, you need too many 5s and 6s. So 1 damage or 2 damage weapons. I mean, I've just got to the point where like I just never Refusal to Die anymore, because every time I do it just feels like a wasted CP. So I just don't do it. So maybe I need to make a more conscious choice of like how much damage the weapon that's doing the damage has, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, possibly a successor chapter is not actually a bad shout at the moment for, well, I guess for Iron Hands is fine. For White Scars, I think would be fine as well, and then obviously Wolves have a good successor rate too. So yeah, I've got no problem with people playing successor chapters. Like, I think it's decent. It could be a consideration for Blood Angels, because if you it would help into transhuman armies for sure, because you'd be getting more hits, which would make up for the fact that you don't wound so frequently, right? But yeah, where I am at the moment is like I'm half considering taking a detachment of armigers for this next tournament because knights. I mean, not just Imperial Knights, but Chaos Knights as well. The OBSEC is really hard to deal with, and I don't even know if Visage of Death helps you to turn off the OBSEC, because if you're within 3 inches for Visage of Death, then you're arguably within heroic intervention range of the Knights. And typically, like, what do we see? Who runs like Rites of War? We see it on like the Sangre Ancient, the Sangre Priest, maybe a Librarian. Maybe some people have Rites of War on a Chaplain, but it doesn't often seem to be on a Chaplain. And I think a Knight can kill any of those characters with a heroic intervention. So, like, is Visage of Death worth it? Or is it going to help you against like the giant OBSEC blob that is Knights? Probably not, I guess, right? What's up, Inks? If I were going to run Blood Angels competitively, I run them as Whirlwind of Rage and Warded. What does Warded do again? Is that where they get an advance save or something? Well, I mean, I agree with you, Reziel, until you come up against the army that just counters Red Thirst. Like, if Red Thirst gets countered, like, we are in a bad spot for winning a game, right? Like, if you go into a game and Red Thirst is just not going to be prevalent, then I think you have to play out of your skin. Warded is the 5-up, feel no pain against mortals. I mean, I guess that's cool. Army-wide 5-up, feel no pain against mortals. Saves you spending a CP on Soul Warden, or saves you like having to try and position around characters that are going to give protection against mortals. Do we see many people pick, like, do we see tournaments where like I don't really see a successor chapter with Warded. I don't know if I've seen a successor chapter with Warded do really well. Good evening, Harlan Phoenix, how you doing? Yeah, Gav is a really good player, actually. He typically wins GTs. I think he won like 2 or 3 GTs last year, I think. And then he definitely has won at least one this year as well. So, and I think one of the ones he won... What, did he say it was Chaos Knights he maybe had at one of them? I have a copy of Junior's list from his... Hey Inks, thank you so much for the gifted sub, and do really appreciate every stream, dude. I appreciate it so much, thank you. I have the most members I have ever had, actually, according to YouTube, so like, yeah, I mean, the gifted subs you guys have been doing recently is awesome. I have Junior's list. And I'll probably make a tactics video on it next week and try and break it down a little bit. I think he went 5-1, or maybe it was 4-1. I think he won all his games except the final one. I did get the details sent over to me onto Discord. Like, maybe I got them yesterday or the day before yesterday. But I kind of had already been working on this week's video, so I think we'll cover Junior's. I've covered a couple of Junior's lists before. So I'll try and get him. I'll try and cover his list on the channel like next week, I think. Michael says I played Space Wolf Successor as Warded and Stoic for a tournament. It was more for fun, but I was tough to kill for sure. What's Stoic? Remind me. He lost game 6 by like 8 points. No, I mean, then that's pretty darn impressive. Because I think right now, like, Blood Angels are in a tough... I think we're in a really tough spot. Maybe I need to have a look at Junior's list, actually, just before I submit my final GT list and see what's different. So yeah, that would be good to look at his list next week actually, because I have to get my GT list submitted on the Friday, the 5th, or maybe that's a Saturday. But yeah, I have to submit my GT list next week, and at the moment, as it stands, I have no idea what I'm playing at that GT. I thought I was pleased with the list that I had been running, and then I run into like a 10 armature list where I can't hold anything on the primaries. I did fine in the secondaries, I guess. Fine enough. But yeah, primaries into knights right now, I think is honestly unfair. Why do our dreadnoughts not count as 5 models? I mean, I'm not even asking for obsec. I know knights get obsec, but like all the armatures, they move further than the dreadnoughts. They arguably have more reliable guns than our dreadnoughts, and then they all count as 5. I'm like, oh, I'd love our dreadnoughts to count as 5 models. Why doesn't our Redemptor count as 5 models? Junior's list was what was awesome about it? Knights aren't that bad, you can do it. Yeah, I mean, knights are kind of hit or miss sometimes, right, Highland, in that, like, or Rezio, if you... Night games can go, like... I mean, I played Andrew's Chaos Knights a few weeks back, and I lost one game and won the other game, and in the game I lost, I think the same thing happened, like what happened in the game against Gav last night. He had, in turn 1, he had a knight that was on, like, 4 wounds. In turn 2, he had a different knight that was on like 3 wounds. In turn 3, he had another knight that was on 2 wounds or 3 wounds or something like that, right? Like, on another night with different rolls, maybe all those knights die, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, well, all of a sudden I'm 10 more points on secondary and probably 10 more points on primary, and things aren't quite as easy for him. And that's just the thing, I think, with sometimes with knight, because when I beat Andrew's Chaos Knights, I Forlorn Furied and killed like 3 knights in turn 1. And if you kill 3 knights in turn 1, then like the knight player's like, holy shit, okay, now, you know, 3 of 10, that's a good chunk to lose in turn 1, and they can be a bit worried as opposed to you being a bit worried. So yeah. You know it's going to be a bad game though when you've played turn 1 and you left a knight on like 2 or 3 wounds or something, and then you played turn 2 and again you leave like a knight on 2 or 3 wounds. And yeah. Transhuman to hit, transhuman to wound, -1 damage. It's what it is, I guess. The Cataphractic Terminator sprue doesn't come with a Reater per autocannon. It doesn't, Mike? Is that like the Horus Heresy thing? I mean, I probably could take more. No, we actually wanted to play Abandoned Sanctuaries because this tournament that I'm going to, Highland Phoenix, has Abandoned Sanctuaries as the 5th map. And Gav was very flattering and joked with me that he would be facing me on the 5th, because Gav will be 4-0. And the last STO I went 4-0. So he said, like, he was like, oh, well, I'll be playing you on the final table when we're both 4-0, so do you want to play Abandoned Sanctuaries? And I was like, well, I fucking hate Abandoned Sanctuaries, and I think it's really stupid that it's the final map for the event. But, I mean, I'll play you on it because it wouldn't be bad to practice on it. I just don't think it's a balanced map. You know, it forces my infiltrators into my deployment zone. It removes any potential Forlorn Fury. I just don't like it as a map. I think it's a bad map. Not many events play it, and certainly not many events play it as the 5th map, I guess. But you know, I hadn't played Knights in a while. I knew that they had all that obsec thing. I had honestly forgot they could transhuman a Armiger for 1 CP. So I'm glad that I played Gav, because I didn't want to remember that at a tournament, be like, oh shit, yeah, he can transhuman an Armiger for 1 CP. And if it hadn't been Abandoned Sanctuaries, I would have YOLO'd my Death Company into, because he had here, you know, like we often talk about like Codex creep and stuff like that. Here's a Codex creep thing for you for sure, because I was thinking about this after the game, and that like I might run Master of the Codex on my captain, or I might just take Dante. As much as I dislike Dante, I might take him, because if I wanted to take an attachment of Armigers, which I'm definitely considering, because I'm playing squats this week, I'm definitely considering a detachment of Armigers against the squats just to see how things go. What I was thinking was, you know, like if you must be familiar with Master of the Codex. It's the one where you're at the beginning of your turn, I believe, or at the beginning of the start of the battle round. It's once per battle round basically. You roll a d6. On a 4-up you get a command point, right? So it's not bad. You know, 4-up to get a command point, it's fine. On average, I guess that should give you 2 or 3 command points throughout the game. You spend 1 to get it, so if your captain survives reasonably throughout the game, you should be net positive. The knight that Gav had is just like, oh, you just get the command point every turn. You don't have to roll the 4-up, you just get it. Because their codex came out like a year after the Blood Angels codex, right? And I was like, I mean, these are the sort of codex creep things that Marines are dealing with, and why people are saying, like, you know, the changes to Marines in the balanced data slates were kind of lackluster, because like little things like that doesn't sound like much, but like if Master of Codex was just like, you know, 1 CP to take him, and then you just get what, 1 command point every turn guaranteed, then I'm like, wow, Master of the Codex is pretty handy, right? Like everyone would be run Master. At that point, I don't know if anyone would actually be running Dante, right? Everybody would just be like, wow, I'll just take Master of the Codex, because that's, if he survives for 5 turns, that's 5 CP. Sorry, my daughter's up, I'll be right back. Hey, calm down, sweetheart, calm down, sweetheart. Calm down, calm down. Yo. Sorry. You think I went too YOLO yesterday on turn 2? I mean, I couldn't sit back though, because all the Armigers moved 12 inches, right? Have you been looking back on the Helverin comments on your Knights video? No, what is the Helverin comment on the Knight video, Highland Phoenix? Tell me. I think, if you reply to a comment that was already previously replied to, I don't think I get a notification. I think it needs to be a new comment for me to get a notification, because I did see some new comments today, but I didn't see that one. If you heard my daughter screaming, sorry about that. We let her watch Aladdin because we thought that would be fine for a 3-year-old to watch, and apparently Jafar is very scary, and now she's been having some nightmares. So, note to self: vet the Disney movies for villains before we let her watch any more of them. I like the attack bike because I don't like the speeder. I was trying out the speeder. No core isn't great. I mean, at 145 points, when a Helverin is 145 points Highland DTM, I kind of feel like that speeder is overcosted still. And I think that's where I land on the Gladiator tanks as well, because obviously I now have a Gladiator tank and I have a magnetized one, so I could do any of the options, like the Reaper, the Lancer, or the... I forget what the last one's called. The Valiant, I think? And like I looked at the Valiant and I was like, it's 200 points? I was like, oh my god, these... Considering all of its damage is like D6, right? Like, it's unreliable damage. None of it is like D3 plus 3. I was like, oh, ouch. 200 points for D6 damage weapons only. I mean, that's falling into Predator. That's falling into Predator tank territory, right? And nobody runs Predator tanks. Jimmy says, don't let her watch Jungle Book. Alright, I'm on that, Jimmy. I appreciate the comment. Never thought of that. Good evening, Nick. The trick for speeders to work is the Thunderstrike. The Thunderstrike 2mm LS. The Thunderstrike's the one that's got Ballistic Skill 2, but again, all its damage is D6, right? And I mean, I don't hate the idea of the Thunderstrike because of the Ballistic Skill, but like, I hate the idea of the D6 damage. Have I finished the Storm Speeder? I mean, I haven't finished it, but it's got 3 colours. It's got enough colours on it where I can basically put it, field it on the table. Am I ever going to run Centurions or Aggressors? I mean, I have Centurions and I have Aggressors. And I used to love both of them, but I only have 3 Centurions, and I think that 3 is probably not... If you want to make Centurions work, you need 5, probably. And... Aggressors, I mean, I've not run Aggressors since they changed the rules and made them quite a bit worse, right? Because Aggressors used to be able to stand still and fire twice. They used to be able to, advance and take no penalty for that, for shooting. I don't know, I don't see many top players run Aggressors, period. Certainly not for Blood Angels, right? Hey, good evening, Gav. If anyone's got any questions about Gav's list, then Gav was in the chat right now. He's probably still riding a wave of euphoria, having trounced me last night. He actually realised that I'd actually fucked up my scoring last night, and I actually added 2 extra points. I think for one of the turns I thought I was doing Relentless Assault and not behind enemy lines, so I should have had 2 less points than what I had last night. Because I think I put 4 in the box when the Death Company got into his deployment zone in turn 2, which it should have just been 2 because there was no second unit. So yeah, my bad. I'm trying to get 2 extra points against Gav because otherwise I can't beat him, I guess. Anything that brackets stats is worthless, says me bothering you. I don't know if I agree with that. I've had a Redemptor like on lowest bracket being given Chapter Master rerolls and like still win me a game. Cause yeah, when you hit on 5s it sucks, but if you hit on 5s and you reroll everything, it doesn't suck so bad. Hitting on 5s, rerolling everything is still like a 50% hit rate, right? So like a 1 wound Redemptor could still do quite a bit of damage with a 50% hit rate. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's why people really gravitated towards, what was it, the the Volcon Contemptors or Contemptors in general, right? Because Contemptors don't bracket because they're 9 wounds. So like a 1 wound Contemptor is still generally pretty scary. Oh, Gav, you got a little fan club here. I bought a kit from Spiky Bits to change an Impulsor into Gladiator Reaper, and it looks great, says Kevin. I didn't know Spiky Bits did upgrade kits. Is that just in the USA, or is that worldwide? I have a feeling that my Terrax with Company Vets and Devastators would probably do well against tonight. I have 1,000 points tonight, might run a small group game to see. Well, I actually recently bought a Terrax drill. It was one of the commission. It was the commission that I had all the problems with, where the guy hadn't delivered it. And I thought to myself that a Terrax drill would be pretty nice because of obviously it does D6 plus 3 to vehicles, and I guess it would wound the knights on 2s as well, right? Because it's strength 14 with plus 1 to wound or something. So I think I'm actually kind of surprised we don't see many Blood Angels Terrax this period, I guess. Maybe people just don't like them, or they feel like the number of attacks isn't reliable enough. But I mean, I kind of like the Terrax. I bought one. I've not yet run it yet. It's actually on its way in a box to Mike, so Mike can paint it for me. But I think it's decent. Why would you pay a premium for something that gets worse? I mean, all vehicles and armors get worse as they bracket. I suppose the reason to include some vehicles and stuff in a Blood Angels list right now is probably just so you don't give up 100 points for no prisoners, or... I mean, my list last night had 3 attack bikes and some other stuff. I guess attack bikes actually do give up no prisoners points, but like, I have a Whirlwind and a Storm Speeder, and I'm still giving up 10 points for no prisoners, I think. No, I'm giving up over 100 wounds, which turns out to 12 points for no prisoners. That's what it is. So I mean, like, if you run the all melee Blood Angels list with all jump pack units, there's a very, very, very high chance you're giving up 15 points and no prisoners, and like, it's an easy pick for your opponent to pick because, like, you know, oh, this player is going to throw all these jump units in my face. I just need to kill them, which I would need to do anyway, or I'm going to lose the game, and I'll get like 15 points. Then, yeah, just let me pick that, you know? How are you liking attack bikes, John? I mean, they used to be great. I've only run them a few times since Armour of Contempt. I feel like they're better, obviously, because they survive a bit better, but into all the Melt Lances from last night's Knights and all those 3 damage autocannons, I mean, they just evaporated. They were all dead in a single turn. He had to throw quite a lot of shooting at them, but dead in a single turn. And they definitely didn't do much damage in the turn that I shot them, because the Knights had like Transhuman to hit and a decent invulnerable save as well. So in other matchups, I've enjoyed enough the attack bikes. I think they're a decent unit. They're probably a little overcosted, but I mean, I think probably... Are a lot of Marine stuff overcosted at the moment, or am I just a bitter Marines player? I mean, I'll leave that for Gav to answer, I guess. Rizio, the Reaper meta is not among us. I mean, the Reaper would have just died last night, same as I think the attack bikes, yeah, I mean, like, the fact the Reaper has no invulnerable save is just... Is that possibly the biggest problem with it as well? Normally, like, multi-meltas will only wound, like, the Gladiator, etc. on 2s, but against Knights, those Thermal Lances are all they're all strength. Yeah, the Thermal Lances are strength 9, so they get to wound toughness 8 on 3s, which means, like, it wasn't on the table, you never know. I mean, sure. I mean, what's the actual stats for a Reaper? I mean, that's very kind of you, Gav. Let me ask Gav if he would be scared of a Reaper. A Reaper is heavy 24, strength 6 -1. So the heavy 24, I guess, would become hitting on 3s, so about 16 hits. And only wound on 5, so about 5. So I mean, the Reaper would do like 2 damage to a Knight. If you roll super hot, the Reaper does 5 damage. I feel like that's. Oh, DTM says it's 2.66 damage. Yeah, okay. So I mean, basically like less than 1 melt a shot. Yeah, the meltas on the Knights is really tasty, isn't it? I like them a lot. And then obviously they get in half range just that little bit easier because they've got the 15-inch move, which is nice as well. The thing that really got me last night, I think, was the Noble Combatant. I knew Noble Combatant was strong. I think I'd forgotten just how strong it is, because it's a bit like it really is a bit like the orc that was on the Squig that was like super meta like a year ago, where like you get to roll to hit, you get to roll to wound, you get to wait for them to do a save, and every attack that doesn't make it to the point where it does damage, you get to re-roll it. And remember, those are strength 10 attacks, so once you get sort of past the hit roll, the rest of it, there's strength 10 -4, which is, yeah, even into Armor of Contempt, it feels really rough, I guess. Like, my army just doesn't have invulnerable saves. It just doesn't deal with high EP weaponry very well. Armor of Contempt has helped, but I mean, when you start having to save like Sangre Guard models on 5s or 6s, it feels bad because they're like 30 points a model, and you know, they can drop like paper. Like, you could easily lose like 3 or 4 Sangre Guard in a turn, and all of a sudden, like, that, if all you lose in a turn is like 3 or 4 Sangre Guard, it still feels like a bad turn, because it's like, holy shit, they're good. I mean, it felt even worse before when there were 32 points per model, but even at like 30 points per model, it still feels like a really rough turn, because you're just like, oh my god, my Sangre Guard cost me so many points, and they just, you know, they're just dropping like flies, I guess. I mean, when you put like Thunderhammers into the Death Company as well, it feels the same on those guys. I mean, again, no invulnerable save. I've said before, I don't think Refusal to Die is worth the command point, so you lose the Death Company guys with Thunderhammers, and you know, they're super expensive as well. Like, you need them to trade up. If you're trading down on them, it's a rough game. Bring back Vanguard Veterans. I don't know, Island Phoenix. I think Vanguard Veterans, ever since the Storm Shield changes, are too expensive. I mean, they're, and my opinion is they don't do enough damage anymore. Like, Lightning Claws, we see a lot less Lightning Claws into Armor of Contempt, right? I mean, I guess Lightning Claws would have helped against Transhuman Knight, sure, because I could have re-rolled all my wound rolls. Morgo Throd. Am I saying that right? I have my first Blood Angels game this Saturday. It's not a tournament, so we won't do Nephilim. It's like a pre-tournament game. Well, good luck with your first ever game, Morgo. I mean, maybe watch some of my battle reports, or maybe watch some of my videos on like secondary picking before you go, because if you can... One thing I did do against Gav really nice last night, actually, it was in turn 1. I often get comments and questions about that. It's like, how do you survive as a Blood Angels player when you're playing like a shooting army? Well, you saw how deadly Gav's army was at shooting. Like, when he actually started being able to hit me, like, my models are just dying left, right, and centre. In turn 1, I think he only managed to shoot one knight, and it was like one autocannon shot into the whirlwind. That was the only target that I gave him. So if you're one of these players that feels like you lose too many units in turn 1, I guess you could watch last night's. So that was one thing I actually did decently last night, was like, I did actually deploy where it was like... I didn't love my deployment because I had to bunch up stuff behind like obstacles and stuff. I actually don't think it really made that much difference to the overall scheme of the game through my deployment. But it was nice to just get through a turn 1 against like an army that has a ton of like long range firepower and be like, yeah, okay, I didn't really lose anything here. You know, take the small victories where you can get them, right? I mean, Sangre Guard are probably the most efficient datasheet in all of Marines combined. I doubt it's a Sangre Guard datasheet issue. I mean, I don't disagree. I just think there's two things that counter Sangre Guard's datasheet, and it's -1 damage and it's transhuman. And if you have both those things, then Sangre Guard suddenly become a lot less... I guess they just become a lot less potent, right? But yeah, I mean, -4 EP is brutal into Marines. It's only Blood Angels who don't choose to run Sangre Guard because they're undercosted. I don't think they were necessarily undercosted, I just think they do different things, right? Like, because a Vanguard Veteran with a Storm Shield and a Lightning Claw is 30 points, which is the same as a Sangre Guard. So, you know, the Storm Shield is giving you probably a little bit more survivability on... Well, it's definitely more survivability against higher AP attacks. Maybe not so much against those lower AP attacks. And then... Lightning Claw does add some... Like, Lightning Claw is more of a blender type weapon, whereas the Sangre Guard weapon is more of like... Well, it's not blender, is it? It's more like heavy targets, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the thing... -1 damage does dick to Vanguard Veterans, and that's why we actually used to see a lot of Vanguard Veterans, because people would run them, right, to go after those targets that were -1 damage, because, like, Lightning Claws wouldn't be affected by that. Just, ever since Armor of Contempt came out, I guess people have gone away from the Lightning Claw Vanguard Veterans. I mean, I still have a lot of Lightning Claw Vanguard Veterans. I actually have a lot of Vanguard Veterans with loads of different weapon options painted and stuff. Just don't know if I see them. Oh, thanks for watching all the videos, Mongo. I appreciate it. Morgo, are Sangre Guard undercosted, or is everything else Marines run overcosted? I do think a lot of Marine stuff is pretty heavy on the cost. Like, I think even if you just break it down to like an Assault Marine, or a Intercessor, or a Scout, for example, like all these things could probably go down like 1 point per model and they would still be pretty balanced. I mean, look at Death Company. Like, Death Company went down, like, what was it, like 2 points per model in one balanced data slate, and then 2 points per model in the next balanced data slate. Blood Angels still aren't winning events. So like, if Death Company are that cheap, like I think Death Company Intercessors are the exact same. So I think I looked at this the other day actually. So Death Company Intercessors are the exact same points as Intercessors. So you know you're getting +1 attack, and you're also getting a 6-up Feel No Pain on the Death Company Intercessors. They're the exact same points cost as the regular Intercessors. So like, does that not just say to you that like, well, if that's balanced, then how are regular Intercessors? Are they not? They're not a little bit overcosted? So I kind of agree with you a little bit too, Scoops. I would say they probably are. Hello, question from a new 40k player whose first army is Blood Angels. Are Power Fists worth putting into Sangre Guard, or is there a better option for boosting melee potential? I'd say no, Power Fists are not worth it on Sangre Guard, because what's going to happen by giving them Power Fist is you're going to take -1 to hit, and you're going to end up with basically +1 on your wound roll. So you're basically just trading, you're paying 5 points for very little / no bonus. There is situationally times where like a Power Fist would be beneficial, but for the most part you're going to want probably all swords, probably all well, most people are going probably all swords, but I think it's valuable to put a couple axes into the squad as well. But swords and axes are going to be the way forward. If you want to boost their melee potential, there's a few ways of doing it. One of the ways I would do it would be with Unleash Rage, which is a psychic power, which will give them exploding 6s. The other would obviously be near the Warlord, because you get +1 to hit, so you'd be hitting on 2s. The other one would be like a Captain or a Chapter Master, giving you rerolls to hit. And then the final one would be like a Chaplain. I think a Chaplain or the Sangre Ancient, giving them Chaplain, well, probably Astaroth can give them +1 from Massive Doom, and the Sangre Ancient can give them what can the Ancient do again? He can also give them +1 to hit. Sorry, I had to think there for a minute. My old brain's getting tired. But welcome, Tom. If you are, please do consider subscribing. I do Blood Angels content on here every week, and welcome to the game, welcome to the chapter. We have a pretty cool community here. You can join our Discord as well. Like, I obviously don't stream every night, and in the Discord, there's a link in the video description. There are a lot of friendly people, thousands of friendly people actually, that play Blood Angels, and some of them probably more knowledgeable than me actually. So consider doing that if you want somewhere to hang out and talk anything and everything Blood Angels. Reginald's making some Death Company Intercessors don't have OBSEC. Okay. I mean, DTM, you gotta point out the flaw in every plan I have or everything I come up with, don't you? You son of a bee. No, it's fine. I mean, I get what you're saying. I think that Intercessors are possibly, like, they could easily go down to 19 points. Ink says the goal for 2022 isn't moving. It isn't moving actually, and I got 5 gifted subs the other day. I was gonna say, have gifted subs moved the goal before, Ink? So like, have you definitely seen the goal move? I mean, maybe I can manually update it? But yeah, I know that like gifted subs are a new thing that YouTube just started, like maybe, I think they started it this year, like maybe 3 or 4 months ago. Like gifted subs haven't been a thing for that long. Demon Damie on the Red, welcome to channel membership. You've got Inks to thanks, and Inks, thanks so much for the gifted subs. Do appreciate it, and thank you. I mean, there was a lot of gifted subs again last night. I appreciate it when we were doing the battle reports. Sometimes I find it quite hard to keep up with the chat and the battle reports because, especially if I'm trying to win, and especially if I'm playing someone like Gav, I need like 100% of my focus on the table, and even then I still got trounced. So maybe I should have just chatted to you guys and. I've never beaten Gav, by the way, just throwing that out there. I've played him quite a few times. But yeah, I think like you get better from playing people that are better than you, and Gav is a like seasoned tournament winner, so every game against Gav for me is good learning experience. Plus, you know, sometimes when you play people at like tournaments, they're all about like janky shit, and they're trying to game everything, and Gav is just not like that. He'll tell you everything straight up front. He's a really, really good person to play against. I love having him on the channel. So when you guys see Gav on the channel, nobody voted for him last night to win the game. I was like, what the fuck? Next time Gav's on, seriously, you should, if you want to double up your Black Rage points, you should vote for him. But he's a gifted sub. If you're a member of the channel, there's a big join button under the channel. I think it costs like £3.99 or $4.99 per month. You get like access to our members only Discord room, and you get like a few documents that I made, like the flowchart that lets you pick your secondaries, and some cards that I made, and some other sort of like cheat sheets. You only need to be subscribed once to get those. You've never beaten him with a stick? Yeah, I mean, I need to get a stick DTM, yeah. Then I could say I've beaten him. So basically a gifted sub is just one of the channel members is gifting a sub to somebody randomly in chat. There's an option where you can turn on the ability to accept gifted subs. But I mean, it's just basically 1 month of there we go, Gav. Welcome to the chat. Inks is a very, very generous person. If you hang out in this channel, you'll see that. So yeah, you can come and join us in our. I mean, I don't know how much interest you have in our members only Blood Angels Discord room, Gavin. That you just mainly come to kill Blood Angels, but you're welcome. You can join us in Discord in the members only room. If I have a combat squad of... your question doesn't make sense. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to run Sangre Guard, my opinion is run them in a squad of 7. You probably want a Sangre Priest as well, Tom, because they do a lot more damage once you're an Assault Doctrine, and the Priest can put you in Assault Doctrine from turn 1. So run Sangre Guards in squads of probably 7 is the optimal number. I've been running 6s recently, maybe I need to run 7s again. But 6s or 7s. Give them some buffs, as in like give them the Assault Doctrine. Also try and give them like either near the Warlord for the +1 to hit, or Chapter Master rerolls, or near a Captain. If you have a Captain who is the Warlord, then that combos up really nicely, because then you get +1 to hit, so the Sangre Guard hit on 2s and you reroll 1s. So that basically gives you like, if you mathematically speaking, if you hit on 2s, you reroll 1s, you hit 97% of the time. That's the maths behind it. So that's one of the ways to make the Sangre Guard the most potent they can be. Have a Captain as your Warlord and get him close. Gab says his first army was Blood Angels. Oh, so you started with the best and you've moved on. I think a lot of people actually started with Blood Angels, and probably a lot of people started with the old metal models, which are, I mean, those sculpts are still doing, like Dante is still the same sculpt from 1992 or 1993. I actually don't know what year Dante got his sculpt, but I believe it was in 2nd edition, which was about 1992, 1993, maybe 1994. My brain does not go back that far. I tell you, I couldn't even tell you what I had for dinner yesterday, let alone like what Warhammer model released in what year in 1994, I guess. Yeah, one of us, Gav, you need to come and play the Angels then and tell us what we're doing wrong. No, I'm joking. I guess we'll see how we do against squats, because that's going to be an interesting one, and I'm actually kind of excited to fight against squats, because I think we should be able to hide enough stuff. I suppose it's really going to depend on how this auto wound mechanic works. Andrew beat Colin's Nurgle demons with the squats, and he said he kind of trounced him. He said like he was just auto wounding everything and it felt really, really strong. And if I only had one HQ for a 1,000-point game, what would it be? Would I choose a captain or the priest? That's a very tough question. Both have merits in that situation. Yeah, I mean, like, Assault Doctrine, I mean, mathematically, both really do have merit, the captain or the priest. I think mathematically the priest might be slightly ahead, because you could put 2 units into the Assault Doctrine, and then you could be, if you're running Sanguinary Guard, I guess if I was running Sanguinary Guard, I'd run the priest. If I was running non-Sanguinary Guard, because they're not going to get the +1 to hit for being near the Warlord, then I'd run the Bite Captain. Or I'd run a Captain, or Dante, or something like that. Dante gets stuck by Eradicators. That sounds like user error. Dante can jump from cover to cover. You're probably actually fine advancing Dante in like turn 1 or 2, Tom. Like, advance him from a piece of obscuring cover to another piece of obscuring cover and keep him a couple of inches back from the wall so he can't be charged. And then usually once you get to turn 3, that's when you want to be making all your big moves with Blood Angels, because that's when Assault Doctrine kicks in, and that's when we just do a lot more damage once we get to that sort of turn 3 step. If I have a combat squad of 10, I can split them into 2x5 before deployment. If this combat squad can deep strike, can I leave one squad of 5 in orbit and deploy the other 5? I think so. I don't typically do that, Dark Ginger, but like, hopefully someone in chat can answer. I don't see why you couldn't. What does the ruling on combat, like, what's the actual wording? 1 second, let me pull it up. Factions, Space Marines, what can combat squad? Vanguard veterans. Combat squads. The start deployment before any units have been set up. If the unit contains maximum number of models, it can be split into 2 units containing an equal number of possible, when splitting up units using this ability, make a note which forms each of the 2 units. Yeah, I can't see any reason why you couldn't do that. If someone contests me, please say it in the chat, but it says before deployment, so if you combat squad them before deployment and then choose one squad to be deployed death from above and one squad to be deployed on the board, I don't see any reason you couldn't do that. If you get Helverins, John, you need to paint them like Warhounds in the 2nd edition box art. Oh right, best seen on the Imperial I've got that book, Imperial Codex Imperialis, is it? Is that what it was called? I had the 2nd edition of 40k. That's actually when I started, because you can see the box behind me in most of my videos. You'll see that box behind me. But I had 2nd edition, but I actually left all the books in the office because we thought at one point we might try and play a game of 2nd edition on stream to see if it would be fun. But like, it looks like it's a monstrosity. I think we all remember 2nd edition with like rose tinted glasses. I don't know if we could. Well, for one, I think the game would take like 10 hours, but 2, I don't think we all remember how complex and difficult 2nd edition was. Plus, I guess there's only some armies, right? Like, a lot of the army, like Tau didn't exist, and some of the chapters for Marines didn't exist. And I guess a lot of models back then didn't exist. Like, if you were Tyranids, then I guess a bunch of the new models or newer models just wouldn't have existed, right? Question for all Blood Angels players: whether you would run Commander Dante? Aren't you better off running a Sangre Ancient, Priest, and Chaplain as your 3 characters? A lot of people like Dante because he gives 1 CP. A lot of people liked him before because he extended the 9-inch reroll aura to core units as well. So like, if you draw a 9-inch bubble around Dante, that's actually kind of giant. So most of, like, my list from last night for Blood Angel is like 90% of the list is core. So you're basically saying anything within 9 inches of Dante is rerolling ones to hit. So people like Dante for that reason, and obviously he's mobile and he's on a jump pack. So I guess there's a lot of reasons to like Dante, and that's probably why he sees just as much tournament play as some characters that you've mentioned there that are potentially slightly stronger, or on paper they maybe look slightly stronger. Do you know what? The Helverins actually did a lot of damage last night, Gav. I think when I was looking at Helverins, I thought they only had one autocannon. I didn't realise they had two. I thought it was just 2d3 shots. No, 4d3 shots actually makes... 4d3 shots when it's 3 damage a shot is actually pretty tasty. I mean, 2d3 I was like, eh. But yeah, I mean, that shows how infrequently I play knights, because when you told me it was like 4d3, I was like, oh shit, this is actually much better than I thought it was going to be. Plus the cheeky strength 4 shots. Yeah, I mean, I guess we've got the stubber shots. I actually don't think you did a wound last night with your stubbers. I mean, there wasn't that much stubber fire coming out. Did you do... Maybe you did one. Maybe there was like one Sanguinary Guard who died to stubber fire. But yeah, the 4d3 autocannon shots, that is pretty tasty. On, like, I think there's a 60-inch range on that autocannon as well, isn't it? So, not that you really need 60-inch range. I think like anything over like 36 is probably more than enough. Even 36 inches is kind of fine for range. Is Dante's Warlord trait worth a CP, says Douglas? I mean, it is if you're planning on running like big squads of guys that are going to be susceptible to leadership, but we do typically, like, a lot of people just run that 5-man death company at the moment. So if you're running if you're running like multiple 5-man death companies, then I mean, there's still some value in his Warlord trait, but like +1 to morale isn't exactly game-breakingly good, right? Like, I much prefer... If I was going to spend a CP on a Warlord trait or a Hero of the Chapter for one of my characters, I much prefer, like, Soul Warden or Rights of War over +1 to leadership. On my experience, Marines fail leadership, like, once a game on average. So, like, if you're going to fail leadership once a game on average, is it really worth spending 1 CP to get +1 to leadership? When you fail it, you're probably failing it by more than 1 anyway, so like I really don't rate a Warlord trait that gives you an aura of +1 leadership. But I mean, again, some people like the Warlord trait Heroic Bearing. We've seen a lot of people run it. We've seen tournament players run it. Maybe if it saves a unit, maybe if you're running bigger units. Yeah, I think you did kill one Sanguinary Guard with stubbers, those cheeky stubbers. I really tend to run all my characters huddle near my Sanguinary Guard. Not sure if that's the most strategically sound play. I mean, it's strategically sound to have characters near Sanguinary Guard because Sanguinary Guard do get killed very quickly when they're targeted in combat, so having a character there to Angel Sacrifice can actually be very important. So sometimes, that's why sometimes I like to try and run survivable characters, because sometimes if you can have your character tank up with Angel Sacrifice, it can actually like provide like a lot of value. But I mean, other time, you say that, you know, like Space Marine characters are only ever going to be so survivable. You know, like they don't have giant toughness, they don't have giant numbers of wounds. So I've definitely had it. I've had it in games go both ways, where like I've had a character like Angel Sacrifice. I had it just 2 weekends ago on the stream or something, where like Mephisto and Angel sacrificed 3 times in a row in a Great Unclean one, and like the Great Unclean one just had to keep attacking Mephisto, and Mephisto did 17 damage to him. Whereas this week, like, Mephisto get killed by a knight in a single round of combat, right? So like, it can go both ways, I guess, right? So Space Marine characters, are they survivable? No, but do you want at least one of them near your Sanguinary Guard to, or maybe, you know, like, I could understand if you had like Dante and the priest with a Sanguinary Guard, because then you'd be like, right, Dante's going to angel sacrifice, and then we're going to get the feel no pain from the priest, both on the Sangard and also on Dante. And if for some miracle Dante survives, then we're going to use the priest to heal him as well, right? D3 wounds, or I guess 3 wounds if he's a selfless healer or something, right? It's the 50% range extension people take Dante's Warlord trait for. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of both. I agree that the 9-inch aura is pretty giant DTM. I think there's value in it. Space Marines don't add modifiers to their morale checks, right? I mean, they definitely are allowed to use +1 though. They don't take modifiers to combat attrition, I think was the rule. So I think that people only ever, I think people only ever run away on 1s from the no fear, but like, you still need the +1 to leadership still helps when you have to do the morale test. I think what we've seen though since the changes of Nephilim is we've definitely seen people take, like, people always used to take Dante as the Warlord, and I think people, well, before you had to take the Warlord trait if Dante was your Warlord, right? Like, you had to take Heroic Bearing. I think that's something we've definitely seen with Nephilim is, like, plenty of people have started running Dante without Heroic Bearing. I think it's probably, for every player that takes him with Heroic Bearing, there's one player that takes him without. So I guess what that tells me is that some people like the Heroic Bearing aura, some people just don't care for it, and I guess I'm in the camp where, like, I think I don't care for overlay, I guess. So yeah, I think Heroic Bearing sort of can go either way. Take it or leave it. It's up to you. It depends if you feel like you get value out of it, right? Like, ultimately you're the one that's playing the list, so if you don't feel there's value in it, don't take it, I guess. Oh, excuse me. Chris says, at least Dante can sacrifice then fight on death for free. Too bad he has a 2 damage weapon. Yeah, I mean, if Dante had a 3 damage axe, man, I think I would probably include Dante in most of my lists. And I think lower wise his axe should have 3 damage. I think it's dumb it's only 2 damage. If you look at, like, Helbreck, is it? The Black Templars chapter master that got released after Dante, who's got, like, well, he's got the ability with his weapon to do, like, what we see on a lot of stuff in the new edition or the 9th edition, where they can do, like, 2 types of attack. You know, they can do the big hits or they can do the sweeps. Dante's kind of left behind in that, yes, he has, like, 6 attacks which can get buffed to 8, but he only ever does 2 damage. Like, maybe he needs a bit of a rework where he's got some attacks that could do 3 damage, maybe less, and then you could obviously do the sweep for more attacks or something. I mean, he is the oldest Space Marine in the Imperium. You would argue he would know how to both strike and sweep, right? If I just made that lore up, I'm pretty sure he is the oldest, or the oldest living Space Marine, right? Is that right? Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. I mean, maybe Gilliman is older, but I mean, Gilliman's a Primarch, he's not really a Space Marine, right? Oldest not in a dreadnought, says Nathan. Good evening, Nathan. How are you? 1,500 years old. I mean, that would be nice to live to be 1,500 years old, right? And I mean, by all accounts, Dante's still like necking a bottle of wine every couple of nights in the books and stuff. So it's not like he's not got a poor life. He's still rocking it up. 1,500 years old. That's how we roll as Blood Angels, I guess. This guy here is actually metal. And that's why I'm having to paint the edges here, because these old metal models, the fucking paint does not want to stay on the edges. Every time you touch them with your fingers, the fucking paint comes off. One of the things that I'm most happy about is that Games Workshop don't really do metal miniatures anymore. Do you guys remember when they did the white metal for a little while? I think that was a little bit after 2nd edition. The definition on the old metal models is kind of terrible as well. Like, I like the weight of the metal models. Yeah, when I was at my last tournament and I put one of them on the table and it sort of made that metallic thud, the guy was like, "Oh my god, you've got metal models?" And I was like, "Yeah, some of these Death Company, they're as old as I am, basically. They are indeed metal." Never thought I'd live to see the day. I actually remember when there was a time in my Games Workshop career, or Games Workshop careers, that's the wrong word, it's not a career, is it? There was a time, like, in the hobby when I actually loved the metal models and thought the plastic was a piece of shit. Boy, how wrong was I. Tom has a set of 5 metal assault terminators with lightning claws. I'm just going to give them a wash and varnish and call them Sky Terminators. I have a set of Rogue Trader Terminators, and those guys are bloody old. The lightning claws on the Rogue Trader Terminators genuinely look so bad, it's not even funny. Hey Slim, 16 months. Thank you so much for sticking with me for 16 months, dude. That's a commitment. I mean, at this point, that's a serious commitment. Dude, thank you for the support for such a long period of time. It was appreciated. Next tournament is actually 2 weeks Saturday. Is it 2 weeks Saturday? Saturday the 12th is my next GT. I have to submit my list, I think, next on the 4th or the 5th. I don't remember which day it is, but it's definitely one of those days, and I don't know what the list is going to be. I flat out have no clue. I'm struggling, but I've got one game against the Squats next week, and then I'm going to just have to throw something in. Dante would be stronger if he drank blood more regularly. Well, I mean, I think he's going to have to undergo the Primaris, right? Not the Primaris, sorry, the Rubicon. I might do a commission next DTM for the rubrics that I've got. Like, I think I still have like 5,000 points of Blood Angels to paint. So I think I'll probably just keep painting the Blood Angels, be it that this is a Blood Angels channel primarily, and I think maybe I'll commission... I I'll maybe commission the rest of the Thousand Sun models, because I've got a bunch of Thousand Sun models behind me. Like, I bought like 1,000 points of Thousand Suns. Like, God, I mean, it must have been like, I think I bought them before I had my first kids. So my kids turn 3 like next week. So I think I've had 1,000 points of 1,000 Suns pretty much brand new on sprue, bar maybe like a handful of them that I made. For, they must have been like, I must have had them like 4 years now at this point. So it's like, if I've had them 4 years and I'm not getting them painted, like there's no paint being put on them in 4 years since I made them and sprayed them white, maybe like I think it's either they need to be commissioned or they're never getting done. But it's not like I don't paint, right? Like, you guys see me, I paint every week, but by the time I'm finished painting what I have unpainted for Blood Angels, they will have released like Primaris Sangreguard or something new, and I'll have to go and, like, if they release Primaris Sangreguard, I'm gonna have to go buy 30 of the fuckers, right? I imagine, because it'll be squads of 10, will it? So I have to buy 30 Primaris Sangreguard. I mean, it takes me it takes me like 8 to 10 hours to paint one. So what is that, like 300 hours? Well, I barely paint 300 hours in a year at the moment, because I paint like 4 hours a week with the kids. So it'd take me 18 months to paint like 30 Sangreguard. So yeah, I mean, I think I would have to paint, I have to commit, if I ever want that Thousand Sun army done, I have to commission it. Or it'll never get done. Or no, I say never, it would get done like 10 years from now. But yeah, do you know what, we're as a family, we're starting to actually come out the other side of, like, you know, both kids are starting to grow up a little bit, so I am slowly getting more free time back for like painting and stuff, which like 6 months ago I would have not got any extra free time apart from the time I streamed to paint. Now, like, I'm genuinely getting some extra time back because the kids can go to sleep and stuff like that. We need a proper detailed tour of both your finished and unfinished Blood Angels models. I know, I think I might make a video around that on the Christmas holidays, Rezio, because like it would, like, I don't think I've got enough room in here to like show them all off, so I'd want to take them all downstairs to the kitchen table maybe and set up my camera and stuff down there. So I need a new channel trailer. Honestly, my channel trailer is like outdated as all hell. I made it when I had like 500 subscribers, I think. So I need to make a new channel trailer. So I think over the Christmas holidays, I'm going to make a new channel trailer. But I think that might be the only video I make over the Christmas holidays. I might still stream, like either some games or some hobby. But I don't think I'm going to make a tactics video over the Christmas holidays, because I did last year and I did the year before. But I mean, both those years I was a really small channel and I was really trying to grow, and there was COVID going on anyway, so I was stuck at home and I couldn't do anything. Whereas this year I think I'm going to spend a bit more time with family, so I might not make a tactics video for like at least 1 week, maybe 2 weeks. We'll see what time looks like. So I might actually take a break at Christmas this year, because I didn't take one last year or the year before. So I mean, I'll still do my painting and my streaming. I'm just not going to make I might make a smaller video, I suppose. But I'm not going to make like a 30-minute thing that takes me like 3 or 4 days to put together. I do not want to build new Sangreguard. The best they can do is change the legs to Primaris, says Chris. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily want to have to do million new Sangreguard either, but like if there is unless they just let you play Primaris Sangreguard with firstborn models, would they do that? DTM says breaks are good, they prevent burnout. They do indeed, and I'm not burnt out. But I mean, I guess like anybody else, I mean, I have a day job as well, so I just want to spend a bit more time with my kids this time around. Like I said, the kids are starting to become a bit older and stuff, so it's a bit easier to spend time with them as well. So. But yeah, if they do, I think, like, I honestly thought we would have had Primaris Sangregard by now. I've probably said that like 50 times on this channel. Like, I really thought when I saw, like, the Victrix Guard and Marneus Calgar getting that re-release, which feels like an eternity ago now. I mean, it must be like probably 4 years since we got that Marneus Calgar Victrix Guard upgrade. I was convinced when we saw that. I was like, oh shit, Dante's coming next. Primaris Sangregard and Dante. Primaris, you know, in a new box. That'll be awesome. I'm so ready for that. And then it's like 4 years later, it's like, oh, we still haven't had that? I mean, that was so long ago I didn't even have the Blood Angels channel. That's how long ago that happened, and that's how convinced I was. You know, I was 100% convinced that it would be Dante next. Yeah, you make a very good point about Stormguard Eternals as well, in that, like, the Stormguard Eternals could... I mean, you can make some great conversions for Blood Angels. I actually bought one of the Sigmar boxes to make conversions. I just haven't made any with them yet. By the time I get round to doing that, I'm sure they will finally have released the Primaris Sangregard or something. My problem is I always, like... I always put stuff to the side when I because if you're a tournament player, you're always trying to paint what is strong in events or what is good in tournaments, and it means you end up jumping all over the place, and that's kind of where I am. In that, like, I was painting up a bunch of Sangregard, and I think I almost had like 30 Sangregard done. Like, I was very, very close, and then I was like, oh fuck, I need Death Company with hammers, because I haven't been running that for a while and I don't have any with hammers. Dark Angels are the next to get the Black Templar treatment, and the line may be coming back. I have heard that the line's coming back. Valrak's been doing a ton of videos on the line coming back. I don't know what to believe at this point. But Valrak seems convinced the line is coming back. So, I mean, I don't think we'll get Sanguinius back, but I think we could get Primaris Dante, and I think it would be nice if he could be like, you know, like a level above standard Marine characters, you know, like, what, 200-300 points sort of deal, like an actual, like, big, scary, what is he, like, Warden of Imperial Nihilus? Is Warden? No, maybe it's not. No, I forget what is his official title at the moment? Regent of Imperial Nihilus, right? I made a Dante conversion with a Stormguard Eternal Mini, Sangregard Helm and Axe, and Infernal Pistol. Turned out great. Which mini did you use then? And which box was it from? Because I've got the Soul War box. But yeah, I really would like to make a video, Rezio, where I put together everything that I've got painted, because the last one I had tragically a lot less stuff, and I'm actually kind of proud of some of my like bike characters and stuff, because I know a lot of people, like, not many people run the Chapter Master on the bike. Some people run a Death Company Captain on a bike. I mean, I guess some people run the Chapter Master on the bike. But I was actually kind of proud how my one turned out, being that, like, he was a conversion from, like, an old 2nd edition. I think he was a chaplain on a bike originally, like an old metal. Like, again, my captain on a bike is on a metal bike, or a back when, like, half the bike was plastic, half the bike was metal. That's why when I dropped him, a bit snapped off, and I was like, I hate the old models that, like, you know, the new models, if you drop the plastic, they're usually okay, but the old metal models, when you drop them, they just, they always have a bit like fly off them, don't they? Shouldn't Mephiston be hilariously strong if we go by the lore? I mean, he should be stronger. I mean, he's one of the strongest psychers in the Imperium. So the fact he doesn't get, like, if we go by the lore, he should have +5 to cast or something, you know? Because I genuinely think, like, on a within the lore, Mephiston doesn't really fail psychic powers. Like, it's just not a thing that happens. Shouldn't you wait for your Forge World Terrax to arrive? For what? Oh right, for the video with everything that I've painted. Well, I mean, I'm getting the Terrax. Like, I had it in my house like last week. Sorry, not Island Phoenix. DTM. I sent it to Mike, who, like, I'm just getting the Terrax painted for me. I'd say that, like, out of my army, though, I've painted 90% of the stuff myself. If I didn't make YouTube videos, I could paint more. So the way I see it is, like, if I get a subscription, or if I get a super chat or something, and it just goes back into me expanding my Blood Angels army, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I think Terraxes are actually pretty cool for Blood Angels as well. Like I said, I don't see many Blood Angels players play the Terrax. But I mean, I like it. I'm not sure why people don't play it. I think potentially a 9 damage per attack to a vehicle is pretty darn good. It also has 5 melta-guns. I mean, 5 melta-guns is quite a lot of melta-fire too, right? I mean, that's definitely smart to leave vehicles without iconography if you have multiple factions. Because yeah, if you can save yourself buying the same vehicle again, then 100% do that. I mean, typically it's only Games Workshop tournaments that are funny about that. Like, most tournaments, if you go to and you ran a Terrax Siege Drill, if it didn't have the right paint scheme on it, it wouldn't matter, right? It was just Games Workshop said that, like, if you were running an army painted as Blood Angels at an official Games Workshop tournament, you had to use the Blood Angels rules for them. Oh shit, I guess that's just to stop confusion. I don't really see any huge reason for it. I mean, Emperor's Son was in here earlier saying that he was running Iron Hands, right? And he's a Blood Angels player, so I guess most of his stuff is painted Blood Angels, but he's running an Iron Hands successor chapter. So, like, at that point, why does it even really matter? I think it's just confusion. Games Workshop just don't want a new player going to Warhammer World or something, seeing a Blood Angels painted army using the rules for Ultramarines or something, and then getting confused. I can't really see any other reason beyond it. Red cursors are red and black, so it's just a few accents. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I mean, if I was going to run my army as successors, I wouldn't... Or even, like, White Scars, I wouldn't be too up... Like, I don't go to Games Workshop tournaments, so I wouldn't have a problem, like, just saying, like, hey, this is a White Scar army and these Death Company models are Vanguard veterans, you know, like... I don't think that's a stretch. I don't have a problem with it. I did run Red Templars for a while, which were just my, which were my Blood Angels using the Black Templars rules. When do you guys think we're actually going to see, you know, like, because there's been loads of rumours about this Codex Space Marine 2.0, and there's been loads of rumours about, like a new starter set where Blood Angels are going to be the main faction facing Tyranids, which I think maybe makes me think, like, Devastation of Baal a little bit, like... But, like, do you actually think that's just bullshitty rumours, or do you think we're going to actually see that box at some point with, I guess, it's going to be a 10th edition starter box with Blood Angels, maybe? Like, is that something we're actually going to get, do you think? Or do you guys just think it's all rumour, nonsense, clickbait? Because let's face it, like, clickbait on YouTube gets a lot of views, right? Like, there's some channels out there that just do, like, clickbait 40k stuff. That's, like, all they do. And, like, they get 10 times the amount of views that I get. So, like, people want to... Either people are, like, fabricating rumours, or do you think they're actually real? And I guess that's the thing. Yeah, I guess, GTM, you are right. Everybody's going to get a new Codex eventually. I mean, you're not wrong there, I guess. I mean, it would kind of make sense that Space Marines might be one of the first because they were first last time, but then I really don't want another whole edition where Space Marines were first and as such they're weak the whole edition again. Like, I can't be doing with that. Henry Cavill is going to call me up someday. I mean, Henry Cavill apparently announced that he was going to do another Superman movie, which was surprising because I thought that, like, that DC Superman Justice League stuff was dead, even though they kind of saved it a little bit, but, like, I did think it was dead. But apparently when he announced it, I haven't actually seen the video because I'm not the hugest DC superhero fan. I mean, I watch most of the Marvel movies, but yeah, I'm a casual fan when it comes to, like, Marvel and superheroes, I guess. Like, I never was really into superheroes when I was growing up. But apparently he was wearing an Adeptus Custodes t-shirt in, like, the video where he announced that he was going to do Superman. I actually I guess it's Superman 2? Or is it Man of Steel 2? Maybe actually would be more accurate. Alright, I get like 10 more minutes and it's going to be half 11, so I'm going to head to bed. So if you have any Last Blood Angels questions, hit me up. If not, we've got the new Tactics video coming out tomorrow. Something a little bit more chill in this week's Tactics video, but I think you guys will enjoy it. And then I'm probably going to be back on Saturday. I'm just going to be continuing to work on... It's like, I'm working on like 8 different Death Company here. I'm sorry if you can't see, I'm jumping about a bit. But these are guys that I plan to use in upcoming events / tournaments. So they got 3 colours on them now. I'm just putting more colours on them, basically base colours. Marines are the reason 40k is popular, says Reziel. He thinks Space Marines are first because they're the runaway bestseller. Well, make our rules better, say I. Henry Cavill could save Warhammer Plus by collaborating on a 5-minute video. Is Warhammer Plus struggling that much? Is that a thing? Try the Reaper, John, just once, or maybe have it twice because the new model syndrome. I mean, I will try the Reaper. I didn't buy it to put it on a shelf and not play with it. Same as I didn't buy the Land Speeder, whatever, the Storm Speeder, to sit on a shelf and not play with it. I mean, after this tournament, then I've got a bit of a break before the next one. So I think, I'm not going to run it this week because it's going to be my final game before an event, and maybe want to make my final game count. In terms of actually just shoring up deciding what I'm going to do, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I'll 100% run the Gladiator Reaper. I guess because I'm not going to run it with a Tech Marine, it's probably going to feel lackluster, but I mean, I'll run it. Don't worry, I'll run it. Maybe the Gladiators are going to come down in points again, because they brought them down in points 2 or 3 times this edition. And I think even now, after the last points drops, I don't think that many people are using them still. Chris liked a lot of the content on Warhammer Plus, but there was no new content after 5 months. You mean well, I mean, they do weekly army battle reports, right? And I think they do weekly paint things, but you're talking about what you wanted, animations and stuff like that. You don't care about their battle reports and stuff. And I think that's you came back to me talking about the Gladiator Reaper. It must be you must have an alert on YouTube whenever someone says Gladiator Reaper. You get a ping hey, this YouTube video mentioned Gladiator Reaper and you need to go watch it, Highland Phoenix. What was I saying? Yeah, the Warhammer Plus lack of content. My thing with Warhammer Plus was the same though. I enjoyed the animations and stuff, but if I'm going to watch battle reports, would I not just watch battle reports by the big channels that I already know and watch, right? I already know Winter's SEO. I quite like Winter's content. I already know Tabletop Tactics. I quite like their content. I already know Tabletop Titans. I quite like their content, and they play quite high level competitive games. And the list, there was I think what got me is they did a Blood Angels army list on Warhammer Plus, and I looked at the list and thought, that isn't a competitive list. And I mean, maybe I could have been very judgy because obviously I play Blood Angels to a high standard, I feel like, and I probably was overly critical or overly judgy on it. But if they don't if I didn't feel like it was going to be a competitive list, I'm not going to watch it because I only play competitively. I'm gonna try and play a bit, like, when boarding parties come out. I guess, like, I don't even know if there's going to be events for boarding parties, so maybe boarding party is going to be something that I play less competitively. But, like, generally when I play games, I have to play competitive. Like, I don't want to play unranked or casual or whatever you would call it, right? Like, if I was playing an online game, I would want to be playing the competitive mode. And it must just be the person that I am. Different people have different triggers, I guess, and for me, one of the triggers that I enjoy, or the thing I like doing, is competitive, right? Did they forget +1 to wound on Blood Angels? Really? Well, I guess that shows how much of that battle report I actually watched. I pretty much switched it off once I realised that the Blood Angels list was just like all Primaris, and I was like, well, Blood Angels don't really run all Primaris, so I'm not really going to get any value out of watching this battle report, right? Okay. I think this is about as good a time as any to stop. Yeah, I mean, most of the big... I mean, the Warhammer Plus battle reports, they definitely use nicely painted models, that's a given for sure. But I mean, a lot of the other channels on YouTube also use nicely painted models. I might be the exception in that, like, we sometimes let people on my channel with grey. Because sometimes we just want to see the new armies and hey, we've all got jobs. So we don't always have time to get them painted to the best. And if that's the case, I don't typically take the 10 points off the person who's brought the grey army. I just appreciate that they brought it and it lets me see an army that I hadn't played before or something like that, right? I think you only need to take 10 points off your friends if it's a tournament setting. You know, like if you're just playing casually and they want to bring something new that they've never tried before, you don't need to take the 10 points off them. Sometimes people on stream like egg me on to take the 10 points off people for not having painted, but no, that's not how we do it, I guess, on this channel. We just appreciate someone bringing on a new army and we'll take it from there. Okay. Glasshammer also do some competitive reports and lists in the battle rep. Glasshammer do, yes, they do some competitive Blood Angel stuff as well, actually. They reply to my comments as well, which is nice, because sometimes you boot comment. I mean, I don't even know if you can do comments in Warhammer Plus, because I guess it's not YouTube, so you maybe can't do comments. I like comments. You guys know I'm sure I've answered just about everybody in this chat room's comments at some point on the stream or something. Yeah. Oh, just before we go down here, Highland Phoenix, since you are there, here it is. It's this is the Melta variant, but apparently I have these, yeah, like magnets. Do I just pull? Nope, that didn't work. What do I do? I don't know how to get... Oh, here we go. I think it's coming. I don't know where the magnet is. I'll figure it out when I've not got a camera in my face. There's a Reaper. Pretty cool though. those little aerials are not gonna last. Mike sent me it and he was like, I really hope the little aerials lasted, and I was like, well, they did, but I'm gonna break them off probably the first time I take it to an event. So all right, I'll catch you guys tomorrow on the tactics video. I'll be live again Saturday night if you want to come hang out. We'll do Sunday list army shows as always. Manny doesn't have the best reputation. Yeah, I heard there was a lot of drama at London GT. I won't go into it because I don't know the full details, but I heard there was quite a bit of drama at the London GT. Alright, enjoy your evening, guys. Hopefully see you guys again soon. Thank you for the gifted subs. Thank you for the super chats. Thanks for just being here. And if you did enjoy the stream, please hit the like button. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace. By the Blood Army made strong.